Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you all are doing well. So in the previous session, we already talked about IPv6 DNS takeover and NTLM relay. We understand the concept, how it works, and how attacker perform this poisoning and perform the complete attack, how client behave, how attacker behave in this particular scenario. We also talk about which tools it require to perform this attack. So MITM6 and Impacket NTLM relay X. And we also installed all the dependencies, all the prerequisites to execute MITM tool. Fine. So in this session, we will perform the attack IPv6 DNS takeover and NTLM relay. Fine. So we already know that we already have the MITM6 in the opt folder, and within this directory we have MITM6. And here we have the mitm6.py which we need to execute. So open up the terminal, or you can just close it here, right click here in this directory and open terminal here. Okay, so open the terminal here, and the first thing I need is I don't want this transparency, so we can't see more clear. So just click on session, go to the preferences, and here just make the transparency to 0 so that it will not be transparent at all. And I'm just going to right click and split this terminal into two, make it a little bit zoom with Control plus, and then I'm going to fire up mitm6.py. Okay, the switches I will use is -d for the domain name, which is test.xor, and I also don't want to advertise the root. So -no space -no -ra stands for root advertisement. So no root advertisement. Fine. Impacket NTLM relay. So Impacket NTLM relay X. This was the previous command what we used in the SMB relay attack to get the shell, but here we are dealing with DHCP version 6 or IP version 6. So to perform version 6 IP version 6 attack, I have to tell NTLM relay X that I am performing IPv6 attack. So -6 space -t for the target, and instead of SMB we will perform the relay via LDAP. So it will query via LDAP to the domain controller for the information. So the IP we need to put here is the IP of domain controller. Okay, and then I have to also provide the fake WPAD host. Okay, so WPAD host will be, let's say, any name you can provide, like fake WPAD dot test.xor, like this. Okay, and then what I need to do here is when the relay will be performed, okay, via relaying the NTLM authentication, because it is genuine. So we want to ask about the computers, about the users groups, users in specific groups, and about the policies, what policies are there on the domain controller. So all these informations we will query through the LDAP, and we will save it in a file. So space -l is for loot, and I will save it in a file named as DC info folder or DC info directory. Fine. Okay, so these two things are, I think, clear. Now, before going to just fire up these things, I want you to see that we already started test 1 machine. Intentionally, I did not start the test 2 machine. I also start the domain controller, and Kali Linux is also started. Okay, so a few requirements are there for this attack to be performed. The first thing is, which is very normal in the network, because machines keep restarting and the turned off machine will be turned on. So whenever the IPv6 broadcast will be generated by the client, those broadcasts will be listened by our MITM6, and MITM6 will poison and will spoof its identity and say to the client that, okay, you are looking for IPv6 configuration and you are looking for DHCP version 6 server. So I am your DHCP version 6 server. This is your IPv6 configuration. Take it, update in your network adapter. And I am also your DNS server, okay, for IPv6. So the client will ask about the proxy, okay, WPAD, proxy auto discovery. So it will say, okay, I'm the one. So whenever you need any response regarding this, or whenever you want to query anything, just come to me. Fine. Okay. So let's see, just fire up these things. Okay. So you can see up to now we did not capture anything because there is no broadcast generated for the IPv6. So for that purpose, we need to wait. Hit enter here also. Server also started and waiting for connection. Both of these tools are working now. Now we want, for this lab, we want this machine to restart so that the broadcast will be generated. Otherwise, in the real environment, you have to wait. Test 1 or client 1 machine will restart. It will generate IPv6 request, and you can see MITM6 already capture the broadcast request and it's replying. Okay, replying, and it's saying, okay, this is now your IPv6 address, and this address is assigned to the host 1, and also send the spoofed reply for the WPAD. So wpad.test.xor. Okay, now here you can see, if I just make it a little bit smaller, you can see now the request coming and going back and forth. So I'm just going to close here, cancel, exit from here. Okay, exit, so that we can understand things more better, what's going on. So once everything is poisoned and spoofed reply go to the client from the MITM, now client try to communicate with the packet NTLM so that it can authenticate itself. Now you can see it come here up. Okay, this one. So LDAP s:// test client1. So whenever you see a $sign after a name, that means it's a computer account. Okay, and it's trying to communicate with this account to the domain controller and enumerating relayed user privileges. Fine. And this may take a while for the longer, for the large domain. That's not a big deal, but this is important. So HTTP authenticating connection from test client 1, okay, with this IPv6 against the LDAP to the domain controller. Okay, so that means the authentication process is succeeded, and you can see here in the last, once the authentication process is successful, after relaying the NTLM authentication, it's going to dumping domain information for the first time, and it creates a loot directory, what we tell the NTLM relay to create, which is DC info. It created that directory and dump all the domain information into that directory. Fine. So if I go back to this directory, you can see DC info directory has been created, and it will always create to the same directory from where you fire up this command. Okay, so I fire up the packet NTLM relay command from this directory, so it create this DC information directory into the same path. Now if I open this directory, okay, you can see there are computers information. Okay, the second information here is domain computer by OS. So let's say you have Windows 10 in your environment, Windows 11 in your environment. So it will manage that information on the basis of which operating system you are using. Okay, groups. So whatever groups are there in the Active Directory domain controller, it will provide the information about those groups here. Domain policies, okay, domain trust, domain users, okay, domain users by group. Okay, so all this information is very, very crucial if you are performing Active Directory penetration testing. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create one folder here and say HTML, sorry. And I'm going to put all these HTML files here so that we don't have confusion about it. Okay, now let's try to read it. First of all, computers. So once you open this file, you can see all the computers, those join that Active Directory domain controller. You can see all those computer information is here, like client 2, client 1. Okay, operating system Windows 10 Pro, Windows 10 Pro. Domain controller is also here. You can see its fully qualified domain name, which operating system it's using, okay, which operating system version is there. Last logon information is also there, and the flags like server trust account, trusted for delegation. All these, also the SID, all these information are very, very important and very crucial. Let's see, you can see these are the computer information by operating system. So there is a section for Windows 10. There is a section of Windows Server 2022 standard. Even it's mentioned that you are using evaluation version of it. Okay, so if we are also using Windows 11, so you will see here another section of Windows 11. So similarly, in any environment, if legacy systems are there or any outdated servers are there, outdated operating system like Windows 7, Windows Server 2008, Windows Server 2012, like this. So any old servers are there, legacy systems are there, you can see it here and you can try to target those. Okay, so it's all about the information you gather from the target, then you can proceed. So here you can see domain groups. So whatever groups administrator created in that environment, whether it's default group or the custom group created by the administrator, all the groups you can find here. Okay, another thing is domain policies. Whatever domain policies are applied, it will be seen here. You can see there is a password policy. Okay, and you can see machine quota, machine account quota is by default 10 for a user, for a standard user. So you can see 10 is there. That means, which is not recommended actually from the security recommendation, it is not recommended that you leave the machine account quota to 10. You just provide a specific user who is responsible to joining the machines into the domain, set the quota for them, right? So minimum password length, maximum password age, okay, lockout time. Okay, come back to the trust. Okay, there is no up to now. Users, so you can see all those users we created like Doraemon, Shizuka, Nobita, Curb TGT, which is most important. We will see in the specific section where we will deal with Curb TGT. So this is basically key distribution center service account. Okay, guest user is also there, administrator is also there. Also for every user you can see those users are member of which group. Like Doraemon, you can see, I don't know, let's say you don't know about this environment, you just come and you try some test, okay, and you find this information. So what you know about from this information, you can see, okay, Doraemon is a high value target. Why? Because Doraemon is a group policy creator owner, he is domain admin, he is enterprise admin, he is schema admin, and also the part of administrators group. So this is what you need. You identify your high value targets like this. Okay, users by group. So you can see by default all the users are member of domain users, but you need to see who is domain admin. Like Doraemon and administrator is the domain admin users. Who is the member of enterprise admin? These two. Schema admin, these two. Administrator, these. Okay, like this. Fine, so I'm just going to close all of these tabs, back to our lab. And now what we saw here, that user does not log in. Okay, and without login we get too much information about the domain. Now what if the user log in, and the user log in during our test, if the user log in having the higher privileges like Doraemon, then you will find out that the in-packet NTLM relay will try to perform other tasks like creating a user with privileges that can dump all the passwords hashes, okay, of all the users within the Active Directory domain controller. So for that purpose, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to clear this and also just clear that. Okay, clear everything, and we will perform the same attack again. Okay, hit enter here and hit enter here. Fine. Now just restart this machine so that the broadcast will be generated and our things will start working. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller, the font size, so here we have more visibility. Okay. So up to now the machine does not started. Okay, restarting. Fine. Now you can see as the machine is started, it start broadcasting, and the man in the middle 6 listen that broadcast. Spoof replies are already sent, and you can see it tried to communicate over HTTP. It requested to wpat.dat, and you can see it created loot there. Fine. Up to here we already saw. Now what happened if any high privileged user log in here? So Doraemon, okay, and the password is, we already set the password for Doraemon, and Doraemon is the member of domain admin, enterprise admin, schema admin, right? So let's see if the Doraemon login, what will happen here. So I'm just going to cancel this and start it one more time. Okay, loot dir is created. Just keep that, exit and start, and yeah, this process may take time. Okay, so what we need is, once we see here, let me just scroll up. So the very first time when I found that, okay, client 1 is authenticated successfully and the loot directory is created, that means the client machine is already restarted or rebooted, or it generated the broadcast. So what I do, I go back to this machine and log in with the Doraemon user, right? Doraemon user. This is our user, Doraemon. Fine. Now, once the Doraemon log in, what I did, I just don't want this particular process to be completed. Okay. What I did, I just exit from this session. The previous session started. Keep the MITM enable or working, just exit and execute the same command again. Okay, and again it started all of these things. So again I exit here and start the same session with NTLM relayx. Okay, and then now once it find that a user, you can see here this time there is no $sign, that means this is the user. Fine. Now once it authenticate itself from the user, fine, to the domain controller with the LDAP, it will check, enumerate the relayed user privileges. It will check the privileges, it will enumerate the user privileges and what privileges the user has. So first it check whether the user has create user privileges or not, adding user to a privileged group like enterprise admin. The user from which you log in, it has those specific privileges or not, modifying the domain access control list. If it find that the user you logged in have these permissions or privileges, then what it will do, it will add a user, a random user with a random password, okay, to the Active Directory. And you can see querying domain security descriptor and successfully added this user. Just wait, I'm gonna exit. Okay, so this user is basically added to the Active Directory, and this user now has replication get changes all privileges on the domain. So it put this user, created this user on the domain controller automatically, which have this privileges on the domain controller. Now if you have this user with this privileges, what you can do, you can try DC sync attack using secret dump.py from the im packet. Fine. The attack is completely performed. Okay. And the user is created. That user can help us to perform the DC sync attack because it created this user automatically with privileges that can dump all the hashes. Now, if we go back to the domain controller, let's see. Okay, let's see if this user is created or not. And we log in. Okay, go to the tools, users and computers. And you can see this user is created. Okay, if you just open this user, go to the member of, you will find here, it is not the member of enterprise admin, schema admin, or domain admins like this, but this user is created and given the permission, given the privileges of replication, get changes all. And this is the most important thing, most important privilege to perform the DC sync attack. Fine. So for now, I'm not going to perform the DC sync attack because this is another topic and we will cover it later on. But what I will tell you now is if you perform this action, if you perform this attack and you successfully created these accounts automatically created by the ntlmrelayx on the Active Directory domain controller, okay, that give you this specific privileges, what account it will create on the DC. So that means it is done, because once you have this activity successfully performed, so you are eligible for performing the DC sync attack with the im packet secret dump. There are other tools too which you can use for performing DC sync attack. But once you perform the DC sync attack successfully, you will get all the hashes of all the accounts within the Active Directory, including curb TGT, which is the service account for KDC, which is Key Distribution Center. Okay, fine. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you understand the concept. And I'm going to see you in the next video, in the next session with another topic. Till then, you can join the membership. You can join my Discord channel. And if you like the content, like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next video. Bye.